hear is you talking about Dave's used pants.
We're going to have a used pants giveaway.
I don't need that right now.
Ready? The post-game show's used pants giveaway.
I don't need that's the first thing I hear. Let's talk. And I don't know what did I miss?
Well, Dave, we were talking about. Well, first of all, Dave wanted to show me that Larkin Poe was nominated for a Grammy. I'm like, what category is that? And so we got in that for a second, and then I said, by the way, have you told the listener about your new look? Because Dave's got this new wardrobe that he ordered off of Amazon because his clothes are now falling off of him because he's lost all this weight. And, remember, he's basically, shredded at this point. So, and I was like, well, we should give away your clothes. And I said, what's the waist size? He goes from 36 to 44, and that's where you came in, where we're now going to give away Dave's pants.
Okay. Because all I got was Dave's used pants, and I'm like, I'm not sure.
By the way, what waist size are you?
Today.
What waist size are you?
36, 34.
Perfect. 34. You could try on Dave's used pants.
34. I'm 34. I'm a 34.
Well, you might be able to wear, depending on the cut of pants, you might be able to wear Dave's used pants.
Yeah.
How about, since we do video stream, once you get back with us here in studio, maybe we'll have you try on Dave's used pants.
Yeah. The good news is you will see me on Monday.
Good. We've missed you. We've missed you, sweetie. Yeah. Can't wait to get you back in here.
Yeah, I believe you.
And I noticed how you skirted right around the idea of trying on Dave's pants on the video stream.
I didn't even hear that part. Just moving right along.
So what do you want to talk about sports? Well, enough about Dave's pants. What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?
Langston will join us in a few. I imagine he'll want to weigh in as well. I want to, right now, before we talk about the Gamecocks and some of the things, we had a great discussion yesterday on how the offense can change and what to expect. And I know there's beginning to be a mild amount of, dare I say, panic amongst some Gamecock fans about Lenoris Sellers' future. We'll discuss some of that. But first, I don't know that it's my responsibility to do this. But I am, as a Denver Bronco fan since 1977, I am here to apologize to the American football viewing public for one of the ugliest displays of professional football that has ever been witnessed last night in Denver. As my dog, hey, y'all got to quit doing that. Sorry, my dogs are chewing. Yesterday, Jalen and Terry were very nice to me and said that they could hear the dog squeaking her toy, and she's dying to play with me right now, and I can't do that. Terry, hey, Truby, stop. Sorry, live radio people. This is why I'm ready to get back. I love my dogs, but I'm ready to get back.
I'm going to tell you, between Dave's used pants and your dogs, this has been an award-winning opening segment.
I know,
Just going to tell you.
I know. But anyway, I'm here to apologize for that display last night. That was, man, I was watching going, my God, this is it's terrible. It's almost like this should be an exhibition game or something in August with a bunch of third-teamers who have not ever seen the playbook on both teams, right? Instead of, 15-year veteran Geno Smith and highly touted second-year player Bo Nix, who's being coached by Sean Payton. Pete Carroll's on the other side, national champion, Super Bowl champion. You got Max Crosby. You got Brock Bowers. No Surtain last night, but you got Nick Bonito doing his thing. At least the Denver defense was really good last night. But, I mean, Terry, I'd love to know, and I don't have the ability to do this. I don't even know if you subscribe to a service that could get you this information. But I would love to know how many times previously in the history of the National Football League there has been a game where both teams committed more penalties than they did score points.
That might be the stat of the year, to be quite honest with you.
It has to. Come on.
Stat of the year.
Both teams. Now, look, as a Bronco fan, here's the most important thing. Denver won the game.
Right.
The Raiders scored on their first drive, and then they didn't score again. There was a little controversy maybe with another one, whatever. That's not my problem. But, they didn't score again. Denver looked like crap for most of the game. I think it had like 7 3-and-outs or something ridiculous, again, for a Sean Payton team. So that was wretched football. But my team won, so I'm happy about that.
Look, I'll say this to you.
I apologize as a Bronco fan. I feel it necessary here in this part of the country to apologize to all who subscribe to Amazon and watched and B had to watch that game, because you shouldn't have been put through that last night.
And I'll say this again: you never apologize for a W ever in the world. But that being said, I said, and I told you this earlier, I wish Roger Goodell would have got on a loudspeaker and said, "No one gets a win here. This was awful. No one gets a win. This was embarrassing." That thing. Oh, I told you. I almost texted you and said, "My God, man, the Raiders are giving you gifts over and over again. Score a touchdown so I can go to bed." Oh,
yeah, they were. I kept waiting for that to happen. I kept waiting, and I figured at one point I was like, all right, this is going to end up being like 21-7. I figured Denver's going to go down and score, and they never did. They just kept turning the ball. They had 2 turnovers. Again, one wasn't Nick's fault, but they just kept punting and punting and punting some more. It was wretched, and really.
Sad?
Denver took the lead because
booing the offense.
I know, and that was the one thing I was like, man, now you're getting booed. You're playing so. Here's the thing, though. In all seriousness, and I've said this before about Thursday games, so this isn't just because my team played last night. But this is what happens, I think, in a lot of Thursday games. Look, I know they're grown men, and they're all handsomely paid, and all that kind of stuff. But this is what happens when you basically force these guys to go play on what amounts to 3 days rest. They don't have time to practice. They don't have time to really recover. They've got to kind of, amp everything up to be back into game mode, because this is what they do. And I think sometimes you get displayed. Maybe Thursday games aren't that bad, but nevertheless, I think this is one of the problems of playing Thursday games after Sunday games, is that you're not ready to play, and somebody has to travel. In this case, really both teams had to travel, Terry, if you think about it, because Denver was on the road last weekend. The Raiders were at home, so Denver had to fly back from Houston, and you take Monday off. Tuesday, you're basically just doing a little light practice, because you can't do anything too physical. Wednesday, you're not doing anything physical because you got a game on Thursday. So basically you get 1 day, in essence, to get ready for a meaningful National Football League game. So,
but Jay, they care about.
They get a lot of money.
They care about player safety.
Yeah, I know. And they care about the quality of the product. The thing to me, I'm dead serious, man. To your point about Goodell being out there, this is you want a quality product. Well, I don't think you can get a quality product with, again, what amounts to 1 day of preparation. I don't know how you do it.
Man, you've talked to former NFL players. I've talked to former NFL players. They will tell you, after spending 3 hours in basically human car crashes, that first of all, you can't get out of bed on Monday, right? You can't. You can't barely get out of bed on Monday because you're so sore. And your body really hasn't recuperated till, they will say, typically Friday, Saturday, to where they really feel good. So now you're trying them out there on a Thursday, playing a real game. And so are we surprised the quality of the product sucked? We shouldn't be. And they shouldn't be playing on Thursday. But again, Amazon's paying billions of dollars, and the TV ratings beat the heck out of anything else. So, of course, you're going to keep doing it. Because, again, and at the end of the day, you're going to pretend like you care about player safety, but you don't. You care about money, and that's what you care about. And that's why you play Thursday. That's just it.
I agree. But anyway, Denver won, so
that's
I'm
all
good
you
with
should
that.
care about.
I'm good with that.
Oh,
that's all.
man.
That's all that can matter.
My eyes still hurt from that, by the way. It's just wow.
Well, the only thing that's great, the only thing that is pleasing to the eye for me last night is, again, those Denver uniforms. Man, they
like
really
them.
Just need to. They need to bring them back.
Yeah, I like the old school Raider jersey from the 60s and 70s too. Was cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it
was good.
But by the way, I thought Brock Bowers, after that first catch he made early, I was like, man, this kid's going to take the game over, and the Raiders are going to win.
And that was his only catch for most of the game.
Yeah, the Broncos. Broncos shut him down after that. So I was pleased, because I'm telling you, he's the future.
Yes, he is.
All right. Langston on the other side. We've got a lot to get into around the SEC. Not a great weekend. I call it a good weekend in college football, but there are a couple of really good matchups across the country. And are there a couple of upset alerts in the Big Ten? Is there one even potentially in the SEC? We'll do all that for you throughout the day. Elijah will join us later into 5 for this week's edition of the Wild Card Showdown. So plenty more to do, Jay and Terry, on this Football Friday postgame show.
Post-game show on a football Friday. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, chasing our buddy Langston Moore around. We'll get him here in a few minutes. What do you think he's doing?
Yeah, we'll get him.
What do you think he's doing?
He's probably still recovering from having to watch that really bad football last night.
Yeah, it was bad. It was so bad. So bad. He was probably sitting there going, man, at my age, I could go out there and play. That's what he was saying. Like, man.
Yeah, he'd had fun last night, man, because both offenses were dreadful. He'd have probably had like 3 sacks.
You had a good time.
At least a couple of hurries.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Oh, man.
Some. Speaking of hurries and turning it around on the other side, I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are starting to wonder, Terry, about Lenora Sellers, and we're not going to sit here and break any news. I don't have any. Look, a lot of times we're able to get some quality information from people around the program. I don't have any of that today, so what we're going to do today is like a lot of you, and just kind of talk about some scenarios that could be out there. But last night, I know, Terry, you sent it to me, and I had 3 other people send it to me after you did.
Yeah, we can play it. If it was after you set it up. We can play it.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say, yeah. So Todd McShay, formerly of ESPN, who's still very active in college scouting and draft preparation and things like that. He's got a podcast now, and he mentioned some things about Lenore. So why don't we just let's play it? I think that the best thing to do is play it. And we'll discuss on the other side.
It's Todd McShay, obviously longtime draft guy, discussing Lenora Sellers and some possible scenarios for the South Carolina quarterback.
Lenora Sellers, there's a strong opinion in NFL scouting circles. He will be back in school next year, that he absolutely needs to, for his development, to be ready when he's called upon as a first-round draft pick. And all first-round quarterbacks, whether they plan on it or not, start in year 1. So everyone is supporting the concept of he needs another year of college. And there are people in his camp who are in agreement, is what I'm told. But I also, this is just scouts talking, there's some programs out there lurking.
You know there are. Do you have any names?
I got one. I'm not here to say there's collusion. I promise you, no one said a word, but one person started putting the dots together. There is a place in South Florida where they've done a really nice job of handpicking quarterbacks the last 2 years, and they've seen ascensions in their game, and they have a lot of talent around that quarterback position, and they haven't been able to take that next step. Miami is a program I would be very cautious of if I'm Shane Beamer in the Gamecocks program, of trying to come in with an offer that is very difficult to refuse.
So
I don't, look, I get it. Not here to scare anybody. I don't think McShay is here to scare anybody. I think you try and talk about these things openly. I mean, Cam Ward, now you're looking at Carson Beck. Maybe next year, Lenora Sellers. That's maybe the way the Miami folk are thinking. What does an offer that's too good to pass up look like? I'm not sure, Terry. I mean, are we Lenoris? Here's the thing. Like you were talking about this. Look, first round pick. Let's not even talk about that kind of money. Second round pick next year, you're still looking at probably a value of, what'd you say, maybe 11, 12 million?
Let's put yourself in your pick 35 like Nick Eamon-Warry. Nick Eamon-Warry has a contract guaranteed, because they're guaranteeing a lot of these second-round pick contracts now, guaranteed at a little bit over $11 million. That's more than Lenoris would get in 1 year coming back.
Yeah, at any school.
Yes.
At any school. I mean, Miami's not going to say, here's $10 million.
Right.
I mean, from what I understand, give or take, he's got his NIL package is in the $3 million range at South Carolina. Could Carolina go up in an effort to keep him? Should he decide to stay in school? Sure. How much? I don't know. Not my department. I don't know. Can you double that? Short answer, yeah. More practical, long form answer, that could be difficult. And while we're just discussing these things, let's remind everybody that you're going to need to make sure you can keep Dylan Stewart as well.
Yep.
And some of your other, like your receiving core and some guys up front. I mean, you're not going to have wholesale change along that offensive front. Carolina has everybody has their financial limitations, but Carolina maybe had to operate a little differently than others. But back to Lenoris specifically, I like we said earlier in the week when we were kind of mentioning this, Terry, I'm surprised that there's this much chatter around a potential return to college football, whether it's at South Carolina or somewhere else. And I would think if he's going to come back to college football that he is going to come back to South Carolina. I would say that's a lean. But what do I know? But I'm more in your camp, and I'll just let people you tell people how you feel, because I know how you feel, and I'll let you explain your point of view.
I'll start with, I still think Lenoris Sellers in the NFL draft. Let's look at what McShay says. Are there scouts that think Lenoris is raw, maybe regress this year, and would do better with another year? Sure. Have you watched Cam Ward in the NFL? Does he look like he's ready to rock and roll? This is always quarterback by quarterback. For every Jayden Daniels, you have a Sam Darnold who struggles, and a lot of that's where you go and who you're with and blah, blah, blah. But, sure, almost all these quarterbacks would benefit with another year. So I get that thinking. But, look, there are other draft people, and Todd McShay's one guy who's talked to some draft people. There are other guys like the Dane Bruglers of the world from The Athletic who will give you the other side of it, and I'm going to tell you, it only takes one team to love you, right?
Yeah.
There are multiple teams who will say this. Yeah, we've watched Lenoris this year. He hasn't gotten better, we agree, but he was behind a terrible offensive line and a terrible offensive scheme that did nothing to help him. And in a lot of ways, he was helpless. That's what some teams are going to see. And I still think he is going to go to the NFL draft, and he will be a first-round pick. Now, is it maybe between 20 and 32? Sure. Matter of fact, you might benefit from going there, Jay, because a team like the Rams with their second first-round pick might take you, or a team like the Steelers, or maybe a good organization and not one of these dumpster fires. But so I still believe he's going to go to the NFL draft because, again, if he's a first-round pick, he's looking at millions of dollars of guaranteed money on that rookie deal. And by the way, that is a 5-year guaranteed rookie deal in the first round. That will get ripped up after 3 years.
Look, I mean, $3, $4, $5 million can certainly change one's life, but $30 million is more. And Dane Brugler today did seem to lean toward what you just said, that the NFL, and I'll just paraphrase what I heard from Dane, the NFL is very good about looking beyond the specifics of a bad year. They'll understand completely why it was a bad year. I heard Greg Cosell saying some of the same things today, that, hey, you can really evaluate a quarterback by how he plays quarterback and not necessarily what was around him while he was playing quarterback. So you got two NFL experts today talking about the generalities of it in Cosell's case, but in Dane Brugler's case, also talking about the specifics of Lenoris Sellers. And I think Dane leans toward the way you do, that Lenoris will still be a first-round pick in the draft. If Lenoris wants to come back to college, and certainly for Carolina fans, if Lenoris wants to come back and be a Gamecock again, then you welcome him with open arms. And Shane and Jeremiah do everything they can to make sure that his NIL deal is satisfactory. Obviously, he's getting to play with his younger brother. That's a big deal to the Sellers family. We all know that he grew up, less than an hour and a half away. So the family is here all the time. These things matter. They do. But there are also lines that can be drawn. And if there are other opportunities that may better, in their mind, develop him, prepare him, you have to at least explore those options and those opportunities. So I don't know. Again, I'll just come back around to it, Terry. I'm still just a little surprised that we are talking about the potential of Lenoris coming back, because in my mind the whole time, and maybe it's just because of what we've been reading and hearing, this first-round pick. He's a first-round talent. I don't think anything has changed about his ability to be a first-round pick.
No.
I don't. The team is not having a good year. But very little has changed in Lenoris Sellers in terms of what the NFL wants out of him when he is a more fully developed quarterback.
Can I throw you a scenario why this might be out here? We can do it in the next segment. I'll throw you just a little just a little idea that was running through my head when this first popped yesterday. Maybe why we're hearing he might be open to coming back to college. We'll get into that next. Does that sound like a plan to you?
All right. Yeah.
We'll see if it's okay.
And we're still.
See if it's okay with the dogs, because the dogs are kind of running the show.
They look good. They're
okay.
happy.
All right. Dogs are good. Good.
They're fine. Yeah, they're fine. And we'll continue to effort Langston Moore as well on the Football Friday postgame show. Yep. Nobody better than Integrated Media when you want to watch what you want to watch when it comes to amazing televisions and listen, big TVs, right? You know, you want something big like you've seen in a sports bar. Can I put that in my house? Heck yeah, you can. What if you wanted a TV wall where you had like 4 TVs in one, where you could watch one thing or 4 things and have it look all cool like you've seen in some places? Yes, you can do that too. What about your streaming? You got your television streaming, you got your music streaming, you got your game streaming. You need the Wi-Fi to hold on. Maybe you work from home a lot. The kids are doing their homework. You get commercial-grade Wi-Fi built for the home that works everywhere. They're fantastic at that. Trust me, my kids certainly love that opportunity here. Outdoor systems, here ahead of the holidays, better security, lighting. They can put it all in one app for you. 803-948-8327. Nobody better with home technology than Integrated Media.
All right, we are cooking a football Friday. Obviously, South Carolina on the bye. We'll get to more of this Lenore Sellers conversation. But first, we got to get our boy Langston Moore in here. What's up, man?
Yes, sir.
It is good to have Langston back. Langston's been making sure I'm in a good spot, so I want to give him a public shout-out for that. And again, I will also, not only do I thank you for that, but I've already done this to the audience, and I'll do it to you. I apologize on behalf of the Denver Broncos for making people watch that football game last night.
No, not at all. It was Sean Payton doing his best impression with Bo Nix last night of, what Drew Brees was doing the last 2 years at the Saints. So it was just a lot of dink and dunk. But the biggest thing is they found a way to win. I think that's the biggest silver lining. Like, somebody asked the question, like, are the Broncos good? You got to say yeah, because, I mean, even though they're not, like, blowing people out like the Colts and different things, but they're figuring out ways to win these games. And, I mean, I think that's kind of, the theme of what we've been talking about on this segment for the last couple of weeks. Good teams find a way to figure out ways to win games even when they're not at their best, and kind of bad, porous teams figure out ways to give games away. And that seems like what the Raiders are doing, and kind of synonymous with what's been kind of going on with the Gamecock football sometimes. We figure out ways to just kind of give games away a little bit.
I'll just say this, and y'all can slap me around mentally if you want to. The last time the Denver Broncos had a 7-game win streak, you know how the season ended? Anybody? They won the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm just going to say I'm impressed with your memory because that was so long ago. I'm surprised you don't remember that. Last century.
I was still driving my old Buick Skylark. Yep, that's how long ago it was, man. That's how long ago it was.
Man, when I think Chick Magnet, I think Buick Skylark. I'm just saying.
Sure, you should. No, it's quite a ride. But Langston, in all seriousness, Terry and I were talking about it. Like, basically, look, I know once and you played a long time in the league, but once you guys, you know how to play football, you know what's expected of you, but you still, on these Thursday games, only get what amounts to a day to really get ready, right? Because Monday you have a day off. Tuesday, what are you doing, like, physically? Wednesday is, a walkthrough? And Thursday, at least for Denver, they didn't travel. The Raiders traveled on Wednesday to get to Denver on Wednesday night and then play on Thursday. I mean, I don't know if we should expect a nice, pretty, entertaining football game when you can't really get ready for it. Or am I missing something?
No, I think that's tough too, and plus the demands of middle of the year football, NFL football. Everybody's injured, everybody doesn't feel good. They only say you only play football 2 times a year. Would play football 2 times a year if we felt good at the beginning and the end. But Denver is figuring out ways to. Like I said, the defense is showing promise, all those different things. But the biggest thing is familiarity. Like, y'all see each other all the time. Everybody talked about, they lamented all night last night about Max Crosby and him, having all these sacks against Denver and I think 22, 23 something tackles for a loss or something like that. And a lot of that is just, familiarity. So much, the rosters, the guys, you go against each other a couple times a year and then compound that over a couple seasons. But, Jay, it's tough, man, because y'all are doing very well, and the Chargers are back there hanging around. But then there's this little bushy head kid from Kansas City named Patrick Mahomes, and even though that team is limping along, even though y'all are in the first place, and all these things are going well, I don't know, Jay. I'm just worried about those Chiefs on the rear coming up on the passing side of the car right there. I don't know. There's still a lot of more football left.
Denver has next.
Yeah, I learned a long couple of seasons ago not to doubt the Kansas City Chiefs regardless of what's going on, as long as 15 is healthy.
Hey, quick question for you.
Amen on that.
Because you were in the beginning of the Thursday Night Football era when you played, if my memory serves me.
Just had TV. We went from dark to color. It was Technicolor that time that year.
Did you ride horseback to those games? I thought you did. Anyway. So, what was the preparation like for a week for a Thursday night game compared to when you have all week to prepare? Give us how your teams prepared to play Thursday night compared to what you would do if you had a full week.
I'm trying to remember if we actually had like an in-conference deal, but similar to like how Jay laid it out. If it's a Sunday game, hopefully fingers crossed. Knowing last week was Denver and the Raiders are on the West Coast, so they're probably playing like the 4 o'clock or the late o'clock slate. So you get a late start on Sunday. Monday you're in there. reviewing maybe a short clip of the film because good win or loss, you don't have a whole day to like review everything. You kind of got to go over the review, install the game plan, and walk through everything on that Monday. Tuesday, you still kind of have a mandatory kind of day off, but most teams are figuring out ways to have some type of walkthrough or something like that. And then like Jay said, whether you're traveling or not, it's Wednesday and Thursday is here at the game. And so it's not a lot of physical preparation, but the familiarity of everything. And I'm trying to think, Thursday night, I want to say it was an AFC opponent we maybe played, and again, I might be just making this up in my mind, but it feels like it was a conference, Kansas City, something like that. But it's the same way. It's it's very quick, very, the turnaround is very short. But, that's the thing about particularly the AFC West is just the familiarity in everybody. I mean, heck, we saw last week the Bills played Kansas City Chiefs like 10 times between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and you're like, oh, okay. But, like, it's the same way with the familiarity of the AFC West, I feel like. It's like you guys always, everybody has a chance to play their teams twice, but just the familiarity and just really the knowing the roster, knowing the coaches, and obviously all the headlines of the coaches out there. You better have a quarterback, and you better have a coach out there in the AFC West has been really proving that. But to answer your question, Terry, it's a really, really quick turnaround, and you better, there's not a lot of room for fluff, and maybe that helps with game planning sometimes with these coordinators. There's not a lot of BS. We got to defend this and worry about what comes because we don't have a lot of time to kind of plan and plot around to see what they're going to do to us.
Langston, let's jump in real quick with your thoughts on what happened with Carolina this week. Obviously, a couple weeks ago we asked you about Lonnie Teasley being let go and what that meant for the Gamecocks. Now, here they are with Mike Shula being let go. And I'm going to do what I've done all week, and I'll start you with this, and you can certainly add more to your answer. You don't celebrate someone being fired. Internally, I'm talking now as players and staff, and really players is where I'm going mostly because they're the ones out there having to go do it. But do you feel like a move like this, can provide a lift in terms of, all right, now somebody else is going to be asking us to do things that whatever we've been asked to do, it's just not working. And then B, what can we realistically expect in terms of finding new ways to produce a better offense?
Yeah, unlike the Lonnie Teasley deal, we got a bye week this time, so there's a little bit of extra time, but you don't have the benefit of having a whole month or off season or special teams or something like that to install all these different things and obviously get everybody familiar. You got to figure out what you guys are really good at right now. What kind of little tweaks or little things you might want to change as an offensive coordinator. But one of the biggest things, just like with anything, how. What's the experience of the people who are, going to be calling the play. So, if it was Mike Shula, they usually see things from a quarterback-centric type of deal. So with Mike Fury and Sean Elliott, not to, don't know the exact breakdown of, the input of those things. I'm sure they're bouncing off each other. But, I imagine it'll be very similar to what Mike was doing out there at Limestone his couple seasons out there. And, historically, they put up some high-passing offenses, and they went from kind of worst to first with their offenses out there under Mike Fury. And a lot of it was quarterback play, wide receiver play, but they were also a little bit balanced and ran, almost 200 yards a game. So I don't know if all of those things are going to be the benefit of us because we had 2 weeks in installation, but there is some hope with the competency, and Mike has had some success, and obviously the tie-ins with Matt Nagy and the offensive play calling with Chicago, different things like that. So it'll really just be interesting to see if all of these things can marry up: quarterback, wide receiver, running back. But the biggest thing just comes back to just doing a few things very, very well and executing those things. And Sean has obviously experience being an offensive line coach, being a head coach, and coordinate a lot of these things, but just seeing how, just schematically, just certain things where we try to, overwhelm you with motion, different things like that. So, I'm really excited, especially because there's only a few games left. So it's really kind of those deals where, not to say you can throw caution to the wind, but what else do you have to lose? What else do you have to lose but to go out there?
Well, and you're in must-win mode. That's another thing, right? You're in immediate must-win mode.
Correct. And so again, we pressure could be one or two things. It could be, we don't have a lot of time to kind of like ease our way into this. Just like Bugs Bunny, you can't just ease your way into the hot water. You just got to jump right into it, especially with the demands and still, having the opportunity to kind of pull something out to try to still get bowl eligible, fingers crossed, because the defense has shown ways to get stops and different things like that. But it's just obviously offense and trying to figure out how to get the dynamo that is Lenore Sellers going consistently over the season, and hopefully that can happen over the last 3 games with Mike and Sean at the helm and everything else with the direction.
Speaking of Lenoris, we'll come back on the other side, get Langston's take on some of the things we were discussing earlier about what his potential future looks like. Lots more to do here with Mr. Moore on a Football Friday postgame show. U.S. Brick has got their brand new exterior design center now wide open at 300 UG Street. Terry and I down there a few weeks ago. Their commercial product line put them on the map way back in the day. Through body and color custom blend solutions to those planning large-scale projects, and now no middleman required. Unlike a lot of manufacturers, U.S. Brick operates direct supply locations in every market they serve. That means competitive pricing and a local team that helps you get exactly what you need, even when it's not in stock. They'll work hard to get it for you. And listen, certain things like tumbled brick. You've seen those really old houses, maybe down in Charleston and Savannah, and you say, man, I kind of want that look at my house, but I don't have like 200-year-old brick. Well, at U.S. Brick, tumble brick is made to look like it's been around for decades, just like you see in those historic homes. It's the real deal. Check them out, 300 UG Street. Learn more whenever you want to at usbrick.com.
It's a Football Friday. Do not forget, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip. Gamecock women hosting Bowling Green tonight. Then right after the game, Elijah Campbell, Justin Hall, our high school football scoreboard show from 9 to 11. That's tonight here on the game on a Football Friday. Jay Phillips, Langston Moore hanging out with us as well here on the postgame show.
Yeah, Langston, Terry and I were talking about Lenora Sellers' future, and again, maybe caught me by a little bit of a surprise earlier in the week when it was beginning to maybe trickle out that Lenoris was at least thinking about a return to football or college football, but not necessarily South Carolina. You presume it would be Carolina. Now we have Todd McShay saying that he's hearing that the University of Miami would be very interested in making Lenoris an offer, and yet there are some NFL draft experts out there who believe that he is still a bona fide first-round pick. You're an NFL dude and an SEC dude. Kind of assess from your own point of view where things might be right now.
Well, I mean, it depends upon how you look at things. I think if you're a South Carolina fan, on one hand, you're glad to kind of hear, oh, there's an opening that he might want to come back to school, and then you're like, oh, I just imagine Bobby Bowden running down the sideline, Florida State playing Miami, and the ball, did the ball go through? And it's just like, oh, Norris is coming back, right? But he's not coming back here, and to hear another team kind of bandied out there, but like Miami was the first name that I heard, and I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Because that's what they've been doing the last couple of years, and they've shown a track record of developing quarterbacks and kind of taking, a guy like Cam Ward from Washington State and putting him into a competent offense, and regardless of managing the game and the clock, put you as a first-round overall pick. Carson Beck probably, it seems like his career was off rails at Georgia. They got rid of him. And then he went down there to Miami, and all the things happened. He got his car stolen. He's not, but it still is probably going to work out for him. That is going to work out. He's going to be a higher first-round draft pick than probably at Georgia, but there's still some questions he's going to. The biggest thing is Lenoris is going to test well. He's going to look phenomenal. I think one of the narratives they're going to try to put out there is that, Anthony Richardson is this kind of a version of that, but that is totally a false narrative. I mean, the biggest thing is physically they have all the upside and all the acumen and all those things, but heads and tails, experience, games played, all of this. Lenoris has all of that. Anthony Richardson, I mean, still is looking for the amount of, experience, and that's kind of the reason why he still hasn't found his way onto the field. But I think Lenoris, that's great you hear that, but it will come down to, how does this team finish it out? The style that they finish out, kind of the matter and the way. I don't think, record will be important, but again, how is these things happening? I mean, is it going to be, are we more competent? Because that's the other thing is Lenoris trying to figure out a different way. If I do want to stay, I'm not coming back just for money. Yeah, that's going to be good. That's going to be part of the equation. Everybody will figure out my price, but developing me and getting me back to on the trajectory of being, the number one ultimate overall number one pick. But sometimes, if you're looking towards the NFL, the three-letter league, maybe some things have gone from, you heard Lawrence being the first overall pick to being one of the first top 3 or 4 quarterbacks to now, like, maybe he kind of slips to the late and first round. And, Lamar Jackson didn't like that on draft night, but I'm sure he's liked being in a competent franchise and organization in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens. And so sometimes, even though you're not in the top, correct. And so I don't know if he'll be drafted. The teams that I'm thinking in my brain right now that will need a quarterback and that will move maybe a little bit of heaven and earth to kind of get him. But, it'll be a competent franchise. And whoever it is, even if it's him picked later on in the first round or early in the second round, he's probably going to have to play immediately. And so, it might be a better deal, but he'll be at a more competent franchise because they're picking a little bit later in the first round. And that means they didn't win all the games, but, they had some kind of competency right there. But, biggest thing for, I'm excited to hear that the door's open, but, also not too intrigued to see who one of the suitors may be. And that's just what we know. I don't know what else is going on in Lenoris's DMs and all those different things in the back channels because, you hear stories about Hugh Freeze and what they want to do with Diego Pavia, what his number was, being a 6th, 7th-year guy at Vanderbilt, and maybe how attractive that was down at Auburn, what they would have paid. So I can only imagine what might be bandied out there for Lenoris Sellers, what could go for him because he is a phenomenal kid, a phenomenal leader, all those different things. It's just organizationally, I don't think we've done our best to kind of help him be at his best this last calendar year in this season.
Has Diego Pavia been in Vanderbilt or in college football as long as Tom Brady was in the NFL?
It feels like they're gonna try to make a way, and he's gonna be just like Tom Brady and use lawyers and litigation to try to figure out some ways to, extend his career. Might not be in the NFL, and who knows what's going to go on beyond Diego Pavia's deal, because a lot of stuff gets evened out. Diego Pavia seems like he wills himself a lot. There is a lot of talent out there, but I don't even know if that lasts, 1 or 2 weeks in the NFL with him, because you can only play that style of football so long. But it works perfectly in Vanderbilt, and so if you can figure out a way to come back for one more season and spend it in Nashville, and you got everything, Clark Lee's aligned with you, so why not? And I'm sure, again, you'll probably get $2 to $3 million a year again, so why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. He's Langston Moore, athletesанdartists.net for all the Just a Chicken series of books. Again, great time of year to be looking into that for that young reader as we get close to the holidays. Some swag on there, too, and how you can get Langston and our own Coach P, Preston Thorne, into a school or other speaking engagement near you. And you can follow Langston on Twitter at RemoveTheChains. Always appreciate you, sir. Thank you for all you do for me and for us. We'll holler at you next week, all right?
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Y'all
That's
be
our
good.
good friend.
See you now.
That's our good friend Langston Moore. Terry will open the vault next hour. We'll have more on this discussion if you want to weigh in on what Lenoris is doing, and we'll start looking at the college football weekend when the Football Friday postgame show comes back. Love telling you about our friends at Griffin Pools and Spas. Heck, this afternoon, if you have a pool, you can go swimming. It's 75 degrees, and it's November. That's why you live in the South. But what about when it gets a little bit cooler? You still want to go out and enjoy things. How about a brand new Bullfrog spa? For more than 15 years, Griffin Pools and Spas and Bullfrog have been partnered up. Their brand is Bullfrog, that is delivering innovation and quality, customizable design, amazing hydrotherapy experiences every single time you use it. With Bullfrog, the possibilities are endless. You can choose your jet configuration, selecting the perfect seating options, and create a unique spa that is tailored to exactly what you want every single time you get in. Plus, you can add the flexibility of waterproof Bluetooth speakers, and you got yourself an amazing experience. North Lake Drive, steps away from the Lake Murray Dam, and learn more right now online at griffinpoolsandspas.com.
It's a football Friday here on the game. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips postgame show. We roll till 6:30. The women go at it. Pregame is 6:30, 7 o'clock tip. Brad Muller on the call as Bowling Green comes to CLA to take on the number 2 ranked Gamecocks. After that, our high school football scoreboard show from 9 to 11 with Elijah Campbell, Justin Hall. Real quick, our buddy Ernest gave us a quick ring. We'll get to the full traffic report bottom of the hour. There's an accident, I-77 Bluff Road. Left lane is blocked. So I'm guessing it's really slow there right now. So if you're heading that direction, find an alternate route to get around all that.
Yeah. Hey, let me give you one, too. Forest Drive, basically right in front of Firehouse. So headed, what is that? I guess east. Yeah, east. I hope I'm right about that. We'll call it east. But right in front of Firehouse on Forest Drive, when you're coming from downtown going towards Fort Jackson, stay left. Because they were doing like utility work this morning. And this is not too far from where I live, and it was a stupid backup as I had to go to the grocery store to get my dog some food. And it usually takes me about 90 seconds to get there, and it took me about 10 minutes, and I was really hacked off.
Oh, man.
Because you remember when we talked about that one day, like everybody races up, and then like nobody can get over because everybody's trying to get in. Mm-hmm. Like, so just go ahead and get over.
Yeah, that's what I do. Because like when I do 95 North, and North Carolina is one big pit of construction half the time. Yeah. I've been through this so much. The minute I see the sign, I just move over. I'm like, move over.
Just go ahead and get over.
You know, because you go. But anyway, you go all the way to the end. Okay, you're getting 1 minute ahead of everybody, but you're causing a massive backup. Because again, come on, man, don't be that guy. Don't be that girl.
And you can still, if you want to go get, so that Larry, doesn't get mad, not at us, but at the people doing the work. And they might have stopped the work by now. I don't know. That was earlier today. Mm-hmm. But Larry Chandler, the great owner of Firehouse Subs across the Midlands, you can still get into the Firehouse. You just have to be careful. So if you want to go get like a turkey, one of those turkey subs.
I'm going to tell you what, that Thanksgiving sub is the bomb.
I still haven't had it.
Oh.
No, I still haven't had it. I know I need to. I haven't.
It's really good. But you got to get the gravy. You got to get the side of gravy so you can dip it. Just saying.
All right.
Just saying.
All right. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I'm a sucker for a sub on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And now that I've been given the clear to go do things now after my surgery a couple of weeks ago, like here's the thing, I'm going to overdo it and then I'll be back in the hospital. No, I'm kidding.
You're going to be a wild man.
But I have so much yard work. I have so much yard work to do. I got to go get it done, man. So anyway. Yeah. So be careful there. But thank you, Ernest. We appreciate it. All right, Terry Ford's going to set us up here. It was something we were mentioning earlier about the Lenora situation.
All right, so Todd McShay. Look, if someone didn't hear Todd McShay, let's reset this really quick. Here's Todd McShay, former ESPN draft analyst, still doing all the draft stuff. He has his own podcast now and things of that nature. Todd McShay specifically talked about Lenora Sellers, and here's what McShay said.
Lenora Sellers, there's a strong opinion in NFL scouting circles. He will be back in school next year, that he absolutely needs to, for his development, to be ready when he's called upon as a first-round draft pick, and all first-round quarterbacks, whether they plan on it or not, start in year one. So everyone is supporting the concept of he needs another year of college. And there are people in his camp who are in agreement, is what I'm told. But I also, this is just scouts talking, there's some programs out there lurking.
You know there are. Do you have any names?
I got one. I'm not here to say there's collusion. I promise you, no one said a word, but one person started putting the dots together. You know, there is a place in South Florida where they've done a really nice job of handpicking quarterbacks the last 2 years, and they've seen ascensions in their game, and they have a lot of talent around that quarterback position, and they haven't been able to take that next step. Miami is a program I would be very cautious of if I'm Shane Beamer in the Gamecocks program, of trying to come in with an offer that is very difficult to refuse.
Okay. Well, you and I had this conversation last hour. I still think Lenora Sellers ends up in the NFL draft. But look, if he came back to South Carolina, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. That'd be awesome. But
By the way, has Carson Beck's game ascended?
No. I mean, remember he had a good first month, and now he's Carson Beck again. He's thrown some crippling interceptions in the losses.
He had one game where he had 4 picks.
Yeah, I mean, he is not ascending. No, he's not going to be a first-round pick. He's probably going to be a day 3 guy. Is he better than he was his last year at Georgia? Okay, whatever. But no, he's not ascended. This is not Cam Ward 2.0, dude. Let's get that out of the way. He is not.
All right.
You are correct, sir. But here's the thing. All right, so this news comes out about the idea that, Lenora Sellers, his camp, and the folks around Lenoris, are open to the idea or think that maybe it might be in his best interest to come back to school. All right, so I guess I'm trying to look at this as a pure, cold, objective business situation, right? Because, it is in a lot of ways right now. I believe that what does it do? What harm does it do? None. And I'm not saying they're not thinking it, but what harm does it do to let people know that you are thinking it? Because now, guess what? You're going to see all your options, right, Jay? You're going to see, now South Carolina, they want you to come back and play for the Gamecocks. So now they know that maybe, you're open to it. And guess what? Other schools around the country also know you're open to coming back. Because, again, the wording there was come back to school, come back to college.
Right.
Not specifically South Carolina. So now other schools can, illegally get in contact with you through back channels and tamper and let them know that they love you and they'd be willing to maybe throw you X amount of money. So now you're seeing all your options, right? And you're going to know your NFL option, obviously. So now you're going to see everything on the table to make the best decision for you. So letting that information get out and however it got out really is a smart business decision by the folks around Lenora Sellers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is, and it's what you should do. That's the market, and if you've got somebody advising you, whether it's an agent or whatever word they want to use, because I know the NCAA hates the word agent, which I don't really understand why.
I don't either.
It's a pretty basic concept.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember this time. Well, not this time last year, but I remember, before the season, Terry, there was talk amongst Lenoris and his dad. I think there was an article in The Athletic about why they came back to South Carolina. It's like, hey, this isn't as much about the money. We can get the money in places, and the money's good at South Carolina. We have a family situation, and now we have another son who's playing for them, and everybody's happy, and it's close to home, and all of those things. I'm not saying that they're going to go back on that or anything like that. Not quite the contrary. I feel like if that was true once, it's still true. And again, if the offer needs to be upped from South Carolina in order to secure it, okay. I wonder what the same representation is saying to NFL people and what they're hearing from NFL people. If McShay says he's hearing Lenoris should come back, and then Dane Brugler says, man, I'm telling you, I think Lenoris is still a first-round pick. All right. Well, that's two different opinions, Terry, and I would say that's a real contrast. And I'm not knocking one over another. All these guys do what they do. This is like recruiting analysis, Some services have a kid as a 3-star and another has him as a 4 or whatever else, So a lot of it is eye of the beholder stuff, but I would think more in the NFL, it's what you're hearing, not what you're seeing. I think Lenoris has shown more than enough to the NFL. And again, listening today to Dane Brugler and to Greg Cosell in two different ways, Cosell was saying, and I mentioned this in the first hour, but I'll repeat it. You can look at a quarterback and how he plays quarterback, and you can take the other things out of the equation as an NFL draft analyst or as a scout, as a general manager, as a head coach, a quarterback's coach. How does he play quarterback? If he's on a good team, you know what's up. Look at Julian Sayin, right? Again, Terry, let me blend a couple of things here to make my point. Julian Sayin's completing about 80% of his passes, and he's got weapons all around him. He's got 5 dudes that block for him that are going to the NFL. He's got 3 dudes that he throws to that are going to the NFL. He's got a guy that he hands off to that's going to the NFL. The one guy that might not play real well in the NFL is Julian Sayin, because we've seen this with Ohio State quarterbacks. Rarely does an Ohio State quarterback get to the NFL and be a difference maker. We don't really. Stroud's the closest one right now, right?
Yeah, and he's kind of regressed. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that they aren't good. They're okay, but everything around them is amazing, and so they look great. Whereas Lenoris has to make so many things happen individually And the NFL can sense that. The NFL can say, man, they can't run. They don't block. And his receivers have yet to really blossom and develop. And yet he is still finding ways to be as productive as he possibly can despite those flaws. So, I lean more personally towards where Dane is in saying, I still see this guy as a first-round pick. I see where Cosell is coming from when he says you can evaluate the individual without having to evaluate the entirety of the offense he may be playing in when things aren't going well. So, look, let's call it what it is here, especially Gamecock fans. If Shane and Jeremiah can find a way to bring Lenoris back into the fold, good on you. Mm-hmm. Do it, right?
Sure.
Do it. Hell, if you want to do it for 2 more seasons, do it. Right. If you can do it, do it. That's it. That's the easy part of this equation. What you wouldn't want to see as a Gamecock fan is Lenoris to go to another school. If he goes to the NFL, I don't think he's any worse than a second-round pick, and I still believe he's probably going to be a first-round pick.
Yep.
But you don't want to see him get away to somebody else. So that might make this OC hire even more crucial, even more important to what not only for Shane, but for Lenoris and for what next season could potentially be for South Carolina in so many ways.
I mean, again, perfect world. I mean, he would come back, play at South Carolina, have a great year, go off to the NFL draft, up his draft stock. Everybody's happy. That's a perfect world, sure. I still think he'll end up going to the NFL. I just do. But let's go to that third doomsday scenario that no one wants. If Lenore Sellers went into the portal and transferred somewhere else and left South Carolina, the bleep splatters everywhere, my friend. It just
that'd be bad. That would be really bad.
Ugly. It would be ugly for Lenoris with some fans. It'd be ugly for the football program. It would be ugly for the optics of the football program. It just would be. Talk about that's not one black eye, dude. That's like 5 black eyes on everybody, right? And it's the last thing you want is that scenario to play out. And going to your point, that's why if this door is creaked open about Lenoris, whether it's 85-15 NFL, whatever it is, right? If this door is creaked open about, I would listen to the possibility of coming back. Then it does make this OC hire gigantic. Because if I'm Lenoris Sellers, I don't want to go through what I just went through. I have zero desire to do that again, right? Nobody would want to do that. So if you're South Carolina, hiring an OC that's going to build an offense around Lenoris' skill set and to get an offensive line that doesn't get him killed are the top 2 priorities you would have to have. Because guess who has all the leverage, Jay?
Yeah, Lenoris.
Yeah, so you're right. The OC hire would be gigantic.
Well, does Nick Harbor come back, Terry? Does Donovan Murph come back? I mean, all these
Brian
guys. I could go on and on.
Sure.
Yeah, Rowe. And do you get a more quality tailback behind you, more like a Raheem Sanders? There's so many questions that could be answered and go into the evaluation of what comes next. I wouldn't panic if I'm a Gamecock fan yet, but that this is out there and that the story is growing is something certainly to keep an eye on.
And then perception
All right, we'll come back on the other side.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll come back on the other side, start previewing the college football weekend, drive around the SEC a little bit earlier, coming up in about 15, 20 minutes as well. Lots to do on a Football Friday postgame show.
We're guys, we always run into stuff. As you get older, we all, in some way, shape, or form, have a little something, right? Whether it's you don't sleep as well as you used to, or your workouts stink, you're not as strong as you used to be, you can't bounce back as well the next day, you can't remember the things you used to remember, so you forget what you used to remember. You have a lack of drive in life, professional, sexual, personal, whatever. All this could just be low testosterone. It could be that simple, and there's one way to find out. You call 803-875-MENS. You set an appointment, a free consultation at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina with Dr. Dan and the staff. You tell them your story. If they think it could be low T, they'll do lab work. If it comes back low testosterone, they will then put you on a program that is specifically designed for you, not Frank Thomas, for you, to get you feeling like you again. Make that call. 803-875-MENS, the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Might just be low T. Find out. Call the Men's Clinic. It's a Football Friday. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford, postgame show. Going till 6. Obviously a bye week. No South Carolina this Saturday. But, Jay, for a bye week, we've been kind of busy with South Carolina news, even though there's no game.
Well, Yeah, I mean, between talking about the offensive change and what Mike Furry and Sean Elliott, Markel Blackwell do to mix things up. Furry will be the guy calling the plays next week when Carolina goes to A&M. But then the added news now that Lenoris Sellers is potentially contemplating a return to school, but not necessarily to South Carolina, has certainly, I think, maybe had the angst meter, amped up just a little bit more here.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I wouldn't sweat it too much yet if I'm a Carolina fan. I don't know how much real intel is out there on this just yet. I'm not discounting what anybody is saying. I've not been able to get anything, on this as of yet. And we'll keep asking some questions. I got a hunch that Shane Beamer is asked about this next week, and that he'll probably give us an answer that he has given in some similar form before, Terry, of, hey, we, meaning Shane and Lenoris, talk about a lot of things all the time. And like I said, this is real easy. If Lenoris wants to come back to school and South Carolina has the right opportunity, then Shane and Jeremiah Donati, go make that happen.
Yeah.
Whatever that might look like, go make that happen. That's the easy part. What's harder is for Lenoris and his family to decide what might be best for him regardless. And again, there are some out there who observe these things, as we've said, if you've just tuned in, that still believe Lenoris Sellers is going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. So we'll see. But we'll come back around to some of this for you coming up. And if you want to weigh in on the text line, especially 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line, we can make this part of the Gamecock Notebook in about an hour. Terry and I will be more than happy to go over some more of these in terms of y'all's thoughts. What do you think? And there might even be some Gamecock fans out there who would understand. Well, maybe he does need something different. You're not going to like it, right? But we'll see. But I know either it's I'm going to go out on a limb, Terry, and say about 99 of 100 Gamecock fans would either want Lenoris to come back to South Carolina or go to the NFL, not go anywhere else. And certainly wouldn't want to see him transfer within the Southeastern Conference.
Remember we threw out that doomsday
And think about this. You're not going to play him now, but what if he went to Miami and you were still going to play Miami? Sadly, you're not going to play Miami anymore, which still kind of blows. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll get to it. Some pretty good games this weekend across college football. We'll get into the SEC specifics in the drive around. Indiana going to Penn State, Terry. Indiana minus 14.5 in State College. It's not a trap game because Indiana doesn't really have anything hard left. But is it just a game like is this more about Penn State? I guess is maybe the question I have.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Look, here's the thing about this. You lose Drew Aller. Obviously, your head coach gets fired, and Drew Aller, the quarterback, obviously. But there's still tons of talent on both sides of the ball on this football team, Jay. It's not like everybody just took off and said, "I had to hell with it, I'm going home." So they're a little – look, I think Indiana wins. But Penn State's dangerous because they do have, dudes on both sides of the ball. And if you're – if you get any kind of decent quarterback play in a game and the other team is kind of tripping over themselves, who knows what happens? So that's a little wild card on Penn State, to be honest, is they still have a lot of guys who are going to hear their name called in the NFL draft on this team. What do they do now? How do they play? Because their season's over and everything they came back for is lost.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Indiana's going to win this football game. And again, when Indiana's been playing minus the game at Iowa, they've been winning rather convincingly. There's just something about this one that makes me think Penn State, if you got anything in you, now's the time to show it.
Yeah.
Now's the time to prove it.
You got players, man. You still have guys. It's a lot of talent.
But Indiana has clearly proven how good they actually are. So I've had to definitely reassess.
What was the number on that, Jay? I'm blanking.
14.5. 14.5. Yeah, and again at Penn State.
At Penn State.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, if you told somebody, if you like some Rip Van Winkle type, right, that had been out of it for a while, and hey, what is this, a basketball thing? Like, is it prom night?
Basketball thing.
Because again, Penn State's like Georgia. They're like, wait, we have a men's basketball team? Like that's what that would be.
Yeah, they have no idea. It's sort of like the Virginia Cavalier. The people at the University of Virginia going, "Well, we have a football team? I never knew that.
Yeah.
They're good." Okay, let's go to a game.
You're like, yeah, I believe you. Indiana's favored by 14.5 over Penn State in basketball, but not in football. But they are.
By the way, in the basketball state, they now are a football school. How ironic is that?
Yeah. And Purdue, who's I would never have accused of being a football school, but has always had a better football tradition, is dreadful.
Oh, they're terrible.
Jeff Brom leaves, and they're terrible. I mean, Jeff Brom played for the Big Ten title.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good Jeff Brom is. By the way, Jeff Brom's he's gonna get one of these gigs, man. I know he loves his alma mater, but he's gonna get one of these gigs.
Well, he's gonna get offered one. I'll tell you that right now. You're right.
I think he's gonna be at LSU or Florida. I'm dead serious.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit. I mean, he can coach.
And if I'm him, I'm not touching Auburn. If Auburn calls you, if Arkansas calls you, LSU or Florida, because he can do it. He's proven it, man.
He's really good.
He's good.
I am with you.
He's good.
He is good.
Oregon is a 6.5-point favorite at Iowa. Again, I wouldn't call this a trap game, but we saw Indiana go in there, and again, that was a tight game. I think Indiana won by 5.
That was a slog.
And Iowa makes it ugly on purpose, and that home crowd, it's a tough place to play. Oregon, I don't know. We have this in the showdown later. I'm not going to make any picks yet because we'll do it. We'll do it in about an hour on the showdown. But I think this could be an interesting football game. Maybe I'm dead wrong, and Oregon goes in there and cruises. But Iowa, it's rare that you go in and cruise. And Iowa's in the top when I was ranked, especially.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit better than they have been when they still can't score a lot of points. But they don't always need to score a lot of
Here's
points.
my thing. They have not beaten like a top 10 team at home in like 5 years. They haven't beaten a top 10 team, period, in God knows forever maybe. But they're due to get one, Jay, at home. They're just due at some point because the way they play defensively, special teams, they bore you to death. Oregon, isn't it sad that Oregon win at State College now nobody looks at as a big win anymore?
Right.
And Oregon started this tumble by beating Penn State when they were, third in the country, second in the country or whatever? And nobody cares about that win for Oregon anymore. Everybody's focused on the Oregon loss to Indiana at home. It's interesting.
Well, Penn State better bring that attitude that they brought to that Oregon game because I think we see now, Terry, that maybe despite Penn State being highly ranked at that point in time, as you and I have talked about a bunch and we've been critical of them, they did not test themselves in the non-con at all, and they were not prepared for how good Oregon and Dan Lanning are when it comes to physicality. I think they played well mentally, but maybe they're not that good overall. Penn State I'm talking about. But, now that Oregon win is like, good for you. Because, again, Indiana's going in there as a 14-point favorite. And then the other big one this week nationally is a top 10 matchup, BYU at Texas Tech. Again, I'll be careful as I say this. I do think both of these teams are pretty legit top 10 teams, but I'm not certain of that yet. I'm very interested to see what this game looks like after 4 quarters. I'm not pulling for anybody. I don't care who wins, Terry. But if this is a really good game, a la that Arizona State-Texas Tech game, I think this is going to tell us a lot. If one of these teams really beats the heck out of the other, then maybe we know that team's not very good. So I'm curious to see what this BYU-Texas Tech game looks like as a top 10 matchup.
And look, if you're Texas Tech and lose, that's loss number 2. That might knock you out of the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like it's a must-win game for the Red Raiders.
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, especially with BYU being undefeated still, it might be tough for Texas Tech to get into the Big 12 championship game. Drive around the SEC on the other side. Couple of good matchups in the conference. We'll discuss those when the postgame show comes back.
All right, we got some traffic rolling here. Again, Ernest gave us a heads up at 4 o'clock about I-77 southbound at Bluff Road, exit 5. There's an accident reported there. Also another accident, Highway 262 near I-77. Old Orangeburg Road near Two Notch Road. Trenholm Road near Highway 16 and North Beltline Boulevard. Accident has been cleared, I-26 eastbound at St. Andrews. That's exit 106. And stop-and-go traffic, I-26 eastbound between Harbison, that's exit 103, and I-20, that exit there with a split for Florence and Augusta, exit 107B. Tonight, women's basketball, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip, as Dawn and her women host Bowling Green. After the game, the high school football scoreboard show with Elijah and Justin. That's all tonight, right here on the game. And the men go at it Sunday night, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip versus Southern Miss. All right, because we're doing the drive around the SEC an hour earlier because the wild card showdown is at 5:30. Jay did not have a chance to properly fuel up the family plane, lovingly called Phillips 1. So
That's right.
Jay will be doing the drive around the SEC from the Phillips family compound here in Columbia.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still here in the capital city. But hey, maybe next week. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, you're going to be back here now starting on Monday, so these trips to Sankey's house is over.
That's right.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, well, sorry to who? Not to me.
Did you steal anything while you were in there? Did you grab a couple little pieces of like merch, memorabilia, something to remember the moments?
As far as you know.
What do you got on the drive around?
Citadel's going to Mississippi, so there's that.
Oh yeah.
Florida and Kentucky at Kroger Field. Florida -3.5 tomorrow night. If Kentucky wins this game, look, I mean, are we putting off the inevitable with Kentucky, or if they, let's see, look, all right, Kentucky has Florida. Let's say they beat Florida, they go to 4-5.
Mm-hmm.
Then Kentucky has Tennessee Tech.
Okay,
all right,
5-5.
They're 5-5. Then they go to Vanderbilt, and then they go to Louisville. I mean, I guess there's a chance, Terry Ford, that they're 6-6 and get a bowl.
Let me ask you this, because I mean, look, we look at those games, and the only one that they really should win is the Tennessee Tech game,
Tennessee Tech.
Barber School or whatever the hell it is. All right, so they should lose the other ones. But let's say Stoops stumbles into a 6-6 somehow out of this mess. You can't bring him back, can you? I mean, honestly, at this point, I mean, your program is...
I just wonder if it hasn't run its course. I think about Steve Spurrier saying, 12 years or so, it's just probably about right. I don't know. I just feel like it's been a good ride. They had a couple of 10-win seasons, had a couple of nice upset wins over the course of it, but it's just not there anymore. And again, if I'm them, I'm doing everything I can to convince native son, or at least alum, maybe not native son, but alum, John Sumrall to be the coach. And if I'm everybody else in the Southeastern Conference not named Auburn or Arkansas, I'm doing everything I can to tell John Sumrall, man, you shouldn't go to Kentucky. Because I don't think you want him at Kentucky, because I think he'll be all right at Kentucky. But I don't know if Kentucky is where I would go if I'm John Sumrall. I don't know how big a step up that is. I mean, I'm dead serious. I don't think that is a big step up for John Sumrall.
Jay, let me ask you a question.
I think Auburn is the step up.
If you didn't go to Kentucky, you wouldn't be considering Kentucky, right? The only reason we're even bringing John Sumrall up in the Kentucky radar is because he played linebacker there. He was an assistant there. John Summerall can get a better gig than Kentucky. Absolutely can. He is the best coach in the group of 5 by all people who look at this and know this. He's the guy. And he's going to get a better job than Kentucky. I won't.
That's who Auburn. That's who Auburn needs to go get. That's who Auburn needs to go get.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes back to Kentucky, it's because he played there, was his alma mater, and he has that emotional pull to go there and right the ship, so to speak.
And I feel like it's a Scott Frost kind of thing waiting to happen.
Yeah, I just, sometimes going home
maybe I'm wrong.
Sucks.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, that's tomorrow night. And again, for Florida, again, both these schools probably have new coaches. Well, certainly Florida will. I think UK will as well. What else we got here? LSU, Bama, usually a marquee game. Not so much this time. Alabama's now up to a 10.5-point favorite. Actually, Terry, when I was making the lines this morning for the showdown, it was 9.5. So in the interim this afternoon, that one has crept up a point to 10.5. We'll still play 9.5 on the showdown because, quite honestly, I don't have any white out to go change it. So we're going to stick with 9.5. But does Alabama need to win this with a little bit of flair, maybe? Or, does LSU have something to salvage here? LSU can play defense. I know that much.
Yeah, and look, Alabama, South Carolina's defense did a nice job of slowing down the tide here. Alabama's been scoring 30-plus points a game for the most part, right? I guess how much – remember, LSU got run over by A&M in that second half, right? It's almost like they were just like, okay, we're done.
Well, as you like to say, A&M just scored again.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeez. And of course, the A&M band's doing those weird chants in Death Valley. And
yeah.
I think that if LSU's defense has some pride left in it, or maybe they're going to play really well because they got rid of Brian Kelly and they all hated him. I don't know, Jay. It's going to be interesting. But, I mean, if you're Alabama, would you like to have style points? But I think you just want to get a W and move forward, right?
Yeah, by and large, I don't disagree with that. And again, I think it could be LSU. I think could make that an ugly game, and that's still going to be a terrific rivalry.
Ready, real quick before you move on, just like the Penn State conversation, LSU's got dudes on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, tons.
Yeah,
tons of talent.
If they're interested, and maybe they do play freer and happier because they don't have Brian Kelly and his Cajun accent anymore. I don't know, man.
I think you're right. Well, I think there's the reason Brian Kelly and Billy Napier are out is because you got loads of talent. You're not coaching them right. That's pretty obvious at this point. Auburn goes to Vanderbilt. Commodores are 6.5-point favorites. Again, Auburn is also with an interim coach. I expect Vandy to win. I did not expect Vandy to beat Texas. In fact, I expected Texas to maybe beat Vandy by more than they did. But I expect Vandy to win this one. And it's still weird for me sometimes, to, just like with Indiana, to go, yeah, I absolutely expect Vandy to beat Auburn. But I do.
Hey, think about that sentence 10, 15 years ago.
No, yeah.
No, man.
Oh, yeah, 15 years ago? Cam? Yeah,
Crazy.
They might have scored 80. Missouri is hosting A&M. The Aggies, 6.5-point road favorites. Again, Terry, kind of like, I wish if Missouri had a better quarterback, maybe this is a better game. But
I agree.
A&M has played a couple of ugly games this year, and Eli knows how to scheme. I could see this being an interesting fourth quarter game. I don't think this will be like A&M's trip to LSU. I really don't.
I'll say this. I think what's interesting here is Mizzou obviously has Hardy and Roberts, the two running backs, and if those guys get going, this could be scary for A&M. I saw a throw chart for the young quarterback, the freshman that's starting. He has thrown hardly anything over 10 yards. They've really been careful with him and how he's throwing the ball, period. If A&M can force that young fellow to have to actually throw the ball to beat them, then Missouri's in trouble. If Missouri can run it, A&M could be in trouble. And we'll see.
Well, if he has to throw it the way he hasn't, to your point, that's because those backs you just mentioned it did not get going.
Exactly.
And Missouri's having to play catch up. And finally, Georgia at Mississippi State. Georgia Bulldogs, 9.5-point favorites. I do expect Georgia to go into this one. I know State's made it tough for a couple of teams, Terry, including an overtime game in that building with Tennessee. But I expect Georgia now to start to assert itself a little bit more. I really do.
Yeah, I think Georgia can coast a little bit here.
They should be able to. That's the drive around the SEC. Jay or nay on the other side.
We'll get some Jay or nay here in a minute on the postgame show on a Football Friday. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, Sunday, men's basketball, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip as the men host Southern Mississippi. Again, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip on Sunday. And, of course, we get back to Carolina football a week from Saturday, 7 a.m. pregame. You going to be with us?
In spirit.
Tyler and myself, 7 o'clock pregame from studio here on Saturday. It's our first little studio pregame of the year.
You going to be sitting out in the fancy couches and all studio,
I
or
think
just sitting there like
we
regular?
should. You know what? I think that because honestly, that's not a good idea because I might fall asleep. That might not be a good idea. It's like
I have faith in you.
Yeah, well, you got more faith in me than I do, so I appreciate it very much.
That's what we're here for. It's a support system.
I appreciate your support.
Speaking of support, and Sunday, Steelers are, and I'm air quoting the word, at the Chargers. The game will be played at SoFi in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's a
serious question.
Game. Yep.
80-20 or more. 80-20 Steeler fans?
I'll go 80-20. 80-20. And 80% Steeler fans, 10% out-of-towners who want to go see a football game, and 10% Charger fans who didn't know the team wasn't still in San Diego.
Yeah. Man, seriously, Chargers, somebody, San Diego, build a stadium. Build a stadium. Get your team back.
But here's the thing. It got to the point where once the Chargers started drooling over the prospect of going to L.A. and getting to market number 2, they didn't want that deal. They didn't want a deal anymore in San Diego.
Yeah, but nobody cares. But if a tree falls in the woods, Terry, right? If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, does it make a sound? If a team plays in Los Angeles and nobody gives a crap, are they actually playing games in Los Angeles?
But you're missing the point. That tree that fell with a big chest of money for being in market 2. That's the thing. Again, you make total sense. And I've talked about it too. It's terrible for that football team to play 17 road games. But that family only cares about the thickness of their wallet because they left market 18, 20 or whatever.
I was going to say, it isn't like, San Diego is not some chump market, you know?
No, but compared to market number 2, it is. Just like your boy who owned the Rams in St. Louis.
Stan Kroenke?
Yeah, who, by the way, is from Missouri. Once Stan saw he could get to market 2, St. Louis the top 20 market 2, but it's not market 2. So, you see market 2 sitting right there for the taking. Greedy rich guys want to get richer. And here's the ironic part of it all. The ironic part of it all is that people in L.A. don't care.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Either one of them, they don't care. When the Rams played the 49ers a couple years ago in the NFC Championship game, that was a 49er home game in L.A. for the Rams. Yeah. Nobody cares, dude.
Oh, it is every time the Niners play in L.A. now.
Here's what L.A. people. Hey, wow, man, you mean like I got an NFL team, dude? Okay, cool. Let's go skateboard. They don't care. They could care less.
They need to make a Californians skit out of a Rams game.
It would be good, wouldn't it?
I love those, man. My daughters, they like, Dad, why do you? Because I'll watch like the compilation of like 5 in a row, and they're like, Dad, one is funny. I'm like, I think they're all hilarious. I'll watch them all. I take the 405 to the 10, then over to the PCH, cross over to Ventura. I love that stuff. I think those things are great.
Oh,
what are you doing here? So anyway, all right, let's do a little Jay or Nay.
All right, I got 2 of them real quick for you.
All right,
we're gonna incorporate a little sound today in the Jay or Nay, sir. Let's start off with Brent Key, head coach of Georgia Tech, being asked about the fact, his name is on the rumor mill for head coaching gigs. And here's what Brent Key said.
Since I was named the head coach here, Kelly, outside of the time with my family, every waking second of my life is going towards building this program to get to the point that it is right now. Right? So that in turn we can continue 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, continue to elevate this place. Right? To be in that conversation. Not to be in there for 2 or 3 weeks, but to be a consistent team. Not when you lose one game, people say, oh, the storybook's over. Nah, it's just beginning. I could go on and on. I could say yes, no, all that crap. Slice me open and see what colors I bleed.
Slice me open and see what colors I bleed. Jay or nay?
Yeah, I mean, if the question is he going to stay and slice
Georgia
him?
Tech.
Nay. I think he's hanging around. I think that was I think that was an impassioned speech there.
Can I say something though? If they cut you open, you better bleed red.
Well, you better.
Or you got some health issues.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. All right, headlines coming up.
Check the roads real quick. Stop and go in two different spots. One in Columbia, I-26 eastbound between Lake Murray Boulevard, exit 102 and 107B. Also I-26 westbound Augusta Road, exit 111, St. Andrews Road, exit 106. Again, stop and go in both of those spots, heavy traffic. Accidents in Columbia, Emmanuel Church Road at Old Barnwell Road. Also Highway 262 near I-70 Veterans Road in Richlands. I-27 westbound between South Carolina 277, that's exit 73. Monticello Road, exit 68. Old Orangeburg Road near Two Notch. And Trenholm Road near Highway 16. We'll get back in here, the 5 o'clock news from our buddies from Integrated Media. Don't forget Wild Card Showdown at 5:30. Your chance to win one of our cool craft beer cards. That's coming up here on the Postgame Show. Time to get the 5 o'clock news rolling. From the news desk, our correspondent, Jay Phillips.
Baseball, Paul Maneri's team winning their final exhibition game of fall ball last night. A rather comfortable win. 9 innings they went. They went 12 the other day against Charlotte's. Why I bring up the 9. Like, well, duh, Jay, they play 9, but they can actually do a little bit more if they want to. But it was 9 innings last night. 8-1 the final over Chad Holbrook's College of Charleston Cougars down at Joe Riley Park. Carolina threw 7 pitchers. Those guys combined for 9 strikeouts. Riley Goodman and Amp Phillips, no relation, had 3 strikeouts apiece. Parker Marlatt did not allow a hit in the 2 1/3 that he pitched. Carolina scored early and often. Talmadge Lecroy making it 4-0 in the 6th. And Carolina actually scored again at the top of the ninth on a fielder's choice that plated 2. Charleston ended the shutout in the 9th. They finally got a run in the bottom half. Gamecocks will scrimmage for a couple of more days, but Coach Maneri did say in postgame last night that with a couple of injuries he didn't like, he may cut fall ball a little shorter than initially planned. So expect the Gamecocks to have a few more practice sessions and scrimmages and then call it a day. But they won both of their exhibitions, so it's obviously way too early to know what this team is going to look like, but feeling good about where they are with 2 games under their belts against Charlotte and Charleston. As Terry has told you many times, coming up in just over an hour, we'll have Carolina women's basketball as the Gamecocks take on Bowling Green. Dawn Staley speaking yesterday ahead of it. Let's get a couple of these, Mr. Ford. Cut number 1, please, sir, first. Coach Staley from Carolina calls last night. She and Brad assessing the opening win over Grand Canyon.
I thought it was a good first game. I thought it was challenging from a defensive standpoint where they run some continuity sets where they're setting a lot of screens, and it caused some confusion for us, which, exposed us somewhat, and it gives us something to really concentrate on in practice. So the last 2 days we've just been trying to get on the same page. This team is really a young team when you look at it. 7 of the 10 players that are healthy have to play a different role than they played for us in the past, whether that's 4 different starters this year, and then you got the freshman Agad and Isla having to play high-level Division I basketball, along with Adele, Maddie, and Miriam have to play for us. So it's something that they, weren't called on a whole lot last season, but their numbers will be called this season, and hopefully we can get everybody up to speed to playing on both sides of the basketball that we like. Offensively, we're putting a lot of points on the scoreboard coming from a lot of different ways, so that's pretty cool to see that it's spread out, and we got players who can put the ball in the hole.
Speaking of putting the ball in the hole and getting points, Terry, cut number 3 here. Tanaya Latson led the way in the opener with 20 points for South Carolina. The transfer in from Florida State, one of the premier players in the ACC during her time in Tallahassee, now displaying what she can do for Carolina and inside the Southeastern Conference. Here's Coach Dawn on what Tanaya is bringing to her ball club.
Well, for Tanaya, we need her to score. Like, we really need her to do what she naturally does. What we want to do with Tanaya is just add to her scoring. I think a lot of times when you have to carry a scoring load like she had to at Florida State, she probably had to take bad shots, right? We want her to differentiate what's a bad shot, what's a good shot without getting gun shy. Like, do what you naturally do, but also be aware that you're playing with some players that are pretty good, and they're here to help you, right? And then from a defensive standpoint, we need her to defend. Like, she is, and she's gotten a lot better from June until now. Like, she is playing both sides of the ball, which I'm super proud of. A lot of times when you've had to be a scorer, you take your breaks on defense, and we can't afford it. She can't afford it at the next level too, so she's adding just some habits that she'll need at the next level. But when in doubt, if there's any doubt, go score the basketball.
Yes.
Terry, that was such a great clip because it not only talks about one player, but it just in just a few seconds encompasses almost everything that Dawn Staley is about. She's had to come in here and from June until now really learn her defense. Dawn insists that you play defense. That's really where South Carolina's winning stems from as much as anything else, is that they make the opponent so uncomfortable. 2, understatement of the year, telling Tanaya, hey, you're surrounded by some people, and she paused, Terry, that are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, they are, but she's got Tessa next to her who can score. What if Tessa had been at Florida State? Is she down there scoring 30 points a night? Yeah, maybe so. I mean, seriously.
Tessa can look, and Tessa seems like she's evolving her game a bit, where she can do some other things as well. And look, here's the thing: whenever you bring a player in of Latson's ability and skill, and you bring her to an upgrade in program, right? Now, everybody's got to incorporate each other. Everybody's got to get each other's flow and get used to playing with each other, because Latson's used to doing certain things at Florida State that you don't need to do at South Carolina, because like Dawn said, the people around you are pretty bleeping good. So
pretty good.
Yeah. So again, they're going to have to learn how to play ball with each other. And that might take a little bit to get everybody comfortable, but make no mistake, Latson's a baller. An absolute baller. And once she incorporates herself into how South Carolina plays, she's going to do some nice things, because one thing she brings here, Jay, is if all heck breaks loose and you need somebody to go get you a bucket when the play breaks down and the shot clock's going, guess who can get you a bucket?
Yeah, and Dawn said that at the end too. So I thought what a great clip that was on explaining not just a player but an overall team and coaching philosophy. Gamecocks and Bowling Green tonight. Many of you probably already headed down towards CLA. If not, Brad will be on the call here in Columbia right here on 107.5 at 6:30 and a 7 o'clock tip. But otherwise, a lot of you down there to fill up the gym. Have a good time tonight. Speaking of Carolina basketball and the gym, Lamont Paris's team started out 1-0. They host former conference rival from way back. You got to be of a certain age to remember. But Southern Miss coming to town. I remember those days when Southern Miss and the Gamecocks were in the old Metro Conference. The Eagles have already played twice. They are 1-1. Again, the Gamecocks 1-0. That game is at 6:30 on Sunday evening, 6 o'clock airtime here on the station with Derek and Judge Casey Manning. Carolina, according to the ESPN computers, has a 96.5% chance to win that game. So we'll see. That's coming up on Sunday at 6:30. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day, the Atlanta Braves made a couple of moves today. Of course, we told you earlier in the week that they did indeed pick up the $18 million option on Cy Young winner, well, at least not last year, but 2 years ago, Cy Young winner Chris Sale, who did pitch well when he was healthy last season. The problem was he was on the DL for 10 weeks. Atlanta has picked up the option on Ozzie Albies. He will have it's hard to believe, Terry. Ozzie is only going to make, I say only, I know it's tons of money, but Ozzie only makes $7 million next year. It's the last season in his 9-year deal with the Braves that he signed so long ago that was worth a total of $45 million, just like with Ronald Acuna, an incredibly team-friendly deal. Ozzie's now 28. Last year, it is really banged up with that thumb, and just his power numbers especially were down. A career low 240 batting average, only 16 home runs. He batted in 74, but he still plays good defense. And of course, he broke his hamate bone late in this season, so he's still going to have to get that one fixed as well. Atlanta, though, did not pick up the options on a couple of pretty good, considering the bullpen was bad, a couple of bullpen guys. Pierce Johnson and Tyler Kinley were given their severance rather than their salaries. Johnson gets a $250,000 buyout instead of making $7 million next season. He was pretty good, 3-3 with a 3.05 in 65 appearances, and he had 59 strikeouts in 59 innings. So, Terry, that's not bad, especially when the rest of your bullpen was. Yeah, and Tyler Kinley too. Tyler was acquired in the summer from Colorado. He was 6-3 overall with a 3.96, but in Atlanta, he was 5-0 out of the pen with a .72 ERA in 24 appearances. He gets $750,000 buyout instead of a $5 million salary. Now, I have read today that the Braves are very interested in bringing both of those guys back, but would maybe like to redo their deals. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. So it's not that they – and look, you just got $250,000, and in Kinley's case, $750,000 to simply walk away. But I did read today that the Braves are still very interested in him, just not under those current conditions.
You like to get him a little bit cheaper, and that way you can allocate some dollars towards some other things too.
Yeah, Braves still, and there's apparently some talks now that Raisel Iglesias may be coming back as Atlanta's closer, and Alex Anthopoulos most definitely wants to add another quality starting pitcher. Speaking of quality, I don't think the Braves are going to get this guy. This sounds like a Giants-Dodgers kind of a thing to me. But Japanese star third baseman Munetaka Murakami is entering the posting system today, and he is 25 years old. He owns the single-season home run record for a Japanese player. He hit 56 back in 2022, and that broke the legendary Sadaharu O's record of 55, set all the way back in 1964. This dude is built like a truck.
Yeah.
He has hit 246 home runs, and when you look at him, you're like, dude, he is this is a man. But he has a 45-day window. It starts tomorrow morning. He has to sign with a big league team before the window closes on December the 22nd. It's an interesting system here, Terry. You basically, what happens is you have a bidding process of sorts. MLB kind of facilitates that, and then he can figure out where he wants to play. It's, obviously Shohei, has been fantastic. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was amazing in the World Series and has been great for L.A. If you sign a player through this system, you have to pay the team. It's a lot like European soccer, Terry. You got to pay the team that he comes from 20%. For a certain amount, and then percentages that go up depending on what he signs for. But it's likely that he signs a 9-figure deal. So that's why I say this is probably a Dodgers-Giants kind of a thing. That's what I could see happening.
Yeah, the posting fee looks like about $17 million roughly. And look, Murakami's 25 years old too. Keep this in mind. He's a youngin'. So if you sign him to a long-term deal, you're going to get conceivably a lot of years of prime at his age.
Yeah, absolutely. Can the Dodgers? I mean, I suppose they can. I don't know what their luxury tax threshold is, but I mean, when you're paying 20% over this year, I saw that the luxury tax threshold is $244 million. So anything you spend over $244 million this season, you're paying a 20% tax that goes into a fund for, I guess, for the Pirates and Twins to share from. I'm kidding.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the A's. That was mean, wasn't it? I'm sorry. That was mean.
But not
that mean.
No one said it wasn't true.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And by the way, speaking of salaries, the Braves, Terry McGuirk, the chairman of the team, did say that their goal. Here's the thing that I think is interesting, Terry. He said, "We want to be a top 5 payroll team." Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. What you gonna spend it on?
Right.
If you just want to go out and splash the cash, no. What are you gonna spend it on if you want to be a top 5? I mean, go be a top. I'm here for it. Go be a top 5. But who you paying?
Yeah.
Don't just go spend the money.
Be smart. Be smart with it. Yeah. Don't be the Angels.
Can the Braves get Murakami? I'd love to see that. I don't know if he wants to play in Atlanta. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
It's worth a shot, right? I mean, you can't. Doesn't hurt to ask.
May as well put a bid in.
Why not?
See what happens. Anyway, there you go. That's our drive around. Or sorry, that's not our drive around. That is our integrated media headlines of the day. We'll come back on the other side. And if you've missed some of the conversation we've had today, Terry can replay a clip from Todd McShay, former ESPN draft analyst, still a draft analyst, working basically independently these days. But he had something interesting to say about Lenora Sellers that has a lot of people across the football spectrum, both college and pro, doing a little talking. See what you think about it when the postgame show returns. right, guys, in just a couple of days' time, it is going to get really cold here. Not for too long. We got one of those Arctic blasts coming down from up there Canada way. Canada way. Anyway, AAA Heating and Air is ready to make sure that you stay nice and comfortable. If you hadn't had your heating system checked in a while, 803-677-1500 is the number to call. And one of their great techs can come, give your furnace a good look over, make sure everything's good to go, or whatever type of heat you might have, heat pump, anything else to facilitate the comfort. If it's time for something brand new, Roy and Dana Finley have a fantastic offer that runs out at the end of the year, so take advantage now. Guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for a full year, $1,500 system buyback rebate, and a 15-year parts and labor guarantee. Big check, small check, big repair, new system. 803-677-1500. Work with my great people at AAA Heating and Air.
Oh, Gamecock notebook time here on the post-game show. As Jay breaks out his, what is that, like 30 years old now? 35 years old?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Why you want to do that to me, man?
Well, when I get to be
Yeah.
your age, I'll feel the same way.
I'm sure you will. Sure you will.
What do you got there, my man?
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot all week about the changing offense, but there's been a new wrinkle added to the conversation, and I guess it got even more wrinkly last night as Todd McShay, the former ESPN draft analyst, but now working independently. He's got his own podcast, like a lot of people do, and is still very, very involved in all of this draft analysis. But on his show yesterday, Todd had some things to say about one Lenoris Sellers. And Terry, let's roll the clip, and then we'll assess further.
Lenoris Sellers, there's a strong opinion in NFL scouting circles. He will be back in school next year, that he absolutely needs to, for his development, to be ready when he's called upon as a first-round draft pick. And all first-round quarterbacks, whether they plan on it or not, start in year one. So everyone is supporting the concept of he needs another year of college. And there are people in his camp who are in agreement, is what I'm told. But I also, this is just scouts talking, there's some programs out there lurking.
You know there are. Do you have any names?
I got one. I'm not here to say there's collusion. I promise you, no one said a word, but one person started putting the dots together. You know, there is a place in South Florida where they've done a really nice job of handpicking quarterbacks the last 2 years, and they've seen ascensions in their game, and they have a lot of talent around that quarterback position, and they haven't been able to take that next step. Miami is a program I would be very cautious of if I'm Shane Beamer in the Gamecocks program, of trying to come in with an offer that is very difficult to refuse.
See, I just don't know what that last part. Look, I'm not stupid. But what does that mean? An offer that's very difficult to refuse. I mean, what are we talking about? If Lenoris is making $3 million at South Carolina, and Carolina has the ability to go up on that, should Lenoris make it abundantly known, Terry, that I am not going to the draft? And that's the thing. You know, how much of this, McShay says, there's no collusion. All right, fine, no collusion.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know who's colluding with whom anyway. I mean, everybody talks. I'm not, I'm just, and for any fan of any school, nobody's going to take this the wrong way. Forget about trying to say there's tampering or anything like that. You're not proving any of that, and everybody tampers with everybody anyway. Okay. So I'm not even concerned about that part of it. I'm seriously not. But what is an offer that's too good to pass up? I mean, is Miami going to offer that second round money you've been talking about, Terry, where Lenoris could make 11 or 12 million? I don't see that happening. Why would you do that?
No.
You're hamstringing the rest of your program at that point in time. And again, can you, if you're Lenoris, are you looking at the Cam Ward year? Or are you looking at the Carson Beck year? Because I don't think Carson Beck is doing anything any better than he was at Georgia. I personally don't. There may be a little bit here and there, but is he going up against SEC defenses anymore? Nope. And he had a game where he threw 4 picks, and they lost. So, everything has its pros and cons. How much of this is about who Shane hires as an OC? How much of this is about the kind of evaluations that Lenoris continues to get from those around the National Football League? Again, I've seen a couple of guys today talking about this in a general and specific sense about quarterbacks and about Lenoris, and how the NFL analysis is very good at looking beyond, in a bad situation at least, looking beyond why the situation was bad and still being able to focus on what the individual can do. And everybody that evaluates, and we even heard it from Langston today when he was with us, everybody that evaluates Lenoris is in the same camp when it comes to the comps to Anthony Richardson. Lenoris Sellers has shown more than Anthony Richardson ever did at UF, and Anthony Richardson went in the top 5. Doesn't mean Lenoris should or will go in the top 5. But one guy today, Dane Brugler, did feel like Lenoris would still probably be a first-round pick. And all you got to do is, as you said, Terry, is get one to be on your side. And there'll be more than one, I think, that ultimately looks at the package that is Lenoris Sellers and says, We need that kid.
You know how guys like Linares with that much physical ability and talent, the only way they fall out of the first round is if the private detective finds something.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that. That's how you fall out of the first round with that kind of talent, in my opinion. All right, real quick, to your point, texter, we appreciate everybody who hits us up on the Firehouse sub-text line. If I could read better, I'd read text, but, my reading skills, I'm from Baltimore. All right. Does this blind resume scream ready for the NFL as a quarterback? 9 games, 1,536 passing yards, 7 TDs, 5 picks, 58% QBR, or 58.2 QBR, 61% completion percentage. Here's the point. They don't look at stats. I'll give you 2 examples. There's a quarterback in the NFL who barely completed over 50% of his passes in his career in college, a guy named Josh Allen. There was a guy his final year in college, threw 17 interceptions in that season, only completed 62% of his passes. His name's Jordan Love. Yep. They look at NFL traits. Do you have NFL traits? What are your talents, and are your talents, measured to the NFL? And if you can check those boxes, they're not going to look at your stats as hard. And they're going to look at Lenore Sellers, some of these guys in the NFL, and say, you played behind an awful offensive line in a bad offensive system in his second year as a starter, and they're going to push it aside. And they're going to say, yeah, he's got stuff to work on like everybody. Yeah, he might be a little raw. But this past year, we've also got to look at the extenuating circumstances that knocked down his season. And that's what you only need a few guys to do that, Jay, and you're a first-round pick. Just saying.
Absolutely. And with the text that just came in there, if you just want to be, wanted us to answer the question based on what you sent, the answer is going to be no. But like Terry said, that's not what they're going to look at. But I'm sorry, but I'm going to read between the lines of a text like that, and what I hear is someone saying, "I want him to come back to us."
Sure.
That's all that. That's what that text means, and that's fine. And that's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easy part. If Lenoris goes to Shane and says, "I want to come back, and I need to make sure it's worth my while," that's going to be twofold in my opinion. Number one, make sure my NIL deal is where it needs to be. Number two, make sure that whoever you hire to coach me is somebody who's going to be better than what happened for me this past season.
Yep.
It's that simple. That's the easy part here. That's the easy part about coming back to South Carolina. But I would hate for a fan to say, does this sound that doesn't look, here's the thing. That doesn't sound good for a current Southeastern Conference quarterback.
No.
Much less somebody who's going to go to the NFL.
Absolutely. And the texter's right. The stat you just look at pure stats, you go, ugh. All right, a couple of more texts real fast that are interesting. One is, and we've said this, we kind of answered it. Do you think all this might depend on who Carolina gets as an OC? I think that's part of the mix in a decision.
I think it's a big part. Percentage-wise, I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's a
gigantic part. And here's the one that I think is interesting we haven't even talked about. Who do you think is the quarterback coach now?
Right as we speak?
Yes. Hey, I know.
Lenoris?
Luke Doty.
Yeah.
He's been here long enough. Luke Doty.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Texter. Great question.
Yeah. No, they'll go whoever they're going to bring in is going to be a proven, I think, play caller and quarterback developer. And it could be at a number of levels. I don't know, but I think those two things are musts, no doubt. All right, we need 2 of you. 803-404 6100 803-404-6100. It is time to play this week's edition of the Wild Card Showdown. We won last week. That's the third time this year that we've won. Yeah. Maybe we'll do it again.
Hey,
maybe we won't. But if you
do the double pump for us, we're so excited.
Whatever it takes for us to win. But we need 2 of you. 803-404-6100. Chance to win a beer card. Showdowns next.
We speak of how important it is to have experienced folks do work for you that matters. And what would you rather do? Go to a place where there's a guy who just started because he's working there because he's trying to, pay off his college loans while he works his full-time job in his major, or some guy that just needs some extra cash? Or would you go to someone or a place that has 70 years of experience in the know-how of what matters to you in your home? Whether it's your kitchen, your bathroom, plumbing, lighting, fixtures, whatever. The experts are at Kreger Showrooms, formerly The Nest, on Gadsden and La Vista. Just call 803-978-2025. Again, 803-978-2025. Say, here's what I'm interested in. They'll put you with an expert, and you start the process in your budget, your vision, what you're looking for. They will handle it at Kreger Showrooms for you. Again, 803-978-2025. Give the experts with the experience a call at Kreger Showrooms. A little check on the traffic. We'll stop and go. I-26 westbound between Sunset Boulevard and St. Andrews. That's exits 110 and 106. An accident with the left lane blocked. I-26 westbound, Sunset Boulevard, exit 110. Other accidents, Emmanuel Church Road at Old Barnwell Road. I-20 between Faro Road, exit 72, and Monticello Road, exit 68. I-26 eastbound, Harbison Boulevard, exit 103, and I-20 exit 107B. I-77 northbound at Fort Jackson Boulevard, exit 10. Sunset Boulevard at Sunset Boulevard. Also, TPC Boulevard at Greenway Boulevard as well. Wild Card Showdown is next on the postgame show. Okie dokie. There we go then. All righty. Oh, time for the Wild Card Showdown. Elijah's here. Jay's here. Also, Paulie and Colin are here. So are you ready to rock and roll? Well, we need the official music, Jay. Hold on. We need the official music.
It's time to cue the band. By the way, I just was able to take a look at some guy who looks really tall with a beard but it's not Elijah Campbell because Elijah Campbell has long hair. And the guy I saw seems to have gotten one heck of a haircut.
Have you've not been in the same room with Mr. Elijah Campbell?
I haven't. I've not. So, what happened? Did he get in trouble?
Well, he woke up. You never make the girlfriend mad before bedtime. Just saying, right, bud?
A little bit of a minor haircut. A little shorter than I anticipated, but it looks great.
A little
fantastic,
dude. What'd you lose? Like, I mean, that's like you lost like eight inches or something off that, right?
Hey, Jay, you're making it feel a lot. You're making it feel a lot better.
Actually,
right now,
we took a razor to it. I have no hair left.
No, well, there's some. Anyway, all right. We do have Paulie. We do have Colin. It is time to play the showdown. Paulie, how you doing on this Friday?
Doing great. How about y'all?
We're good, man.
We're doing well. Colin, ready to go?
Colin?
Yes, sir. Doing well.
All right, here we go, guys. 4 against the spread. Wild card game for everybody. Tiebreaker stat, which has been needed. I feel like the tiebreaker has been needed more this year than most seasons. And we've been doing this thing now for coming up on, well, I don't know. I mean, what is this, our 18th year? We've been doing it that long, so that's about how long it's been. So here we go. All right, Paulie, start with you. Oregon going to Iowa. The Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. What do you think?
Give me the Ducks on the pond.
Oregon. All right. Colin.
I'll take the Ducks as well.
Oregon minus those points. Terry Ford.
I think Iowa's going to make this close, but I think Oregon wins. You know what? What the hell? Give me Iowa in the points, but Oregon wins the game. But Iowa makes it boring and close.
Iowa. I feel the same way. I did this game as my write-up for Jack Veltry's piece at Central today, and I said the same thing. I think Oregon wins, but as Lee Corso would say, closer than the experts think. And the expert today is Elijah Campbell. What do you think?
I think the exact same thing. Kinnick Stadium is not for the faint of heart or for anyone who likes to score more than 15 points in a game. Reminder, the only team to keep it within a touchdown on Indiana this year is Iowa, at Iowa. I think they find a way to backdoor cover, probably win by 5. So give me Iowa to cover, but Oregon to win.
Iowa, I like home points, man, in games like this. I like home points. A&M going to Mizzou. 6.5-point favorites are the Aggies in this one. Colin, start with you. Texas A&M minus 6.5 at Missouri.
I'm going to take A&M on this one.
A&M. All right, Paulie.
Hey, give me Missouri.
Missouri plus the home points. Elijah Campbell.
Give me A&M. I think that may be the best, maybe one of the 3 best teams in the country. Missouri without one of their top 2 quarterbacks. Zollers is fine, but you got to be better than fine against that Texas A&M front.
I don't disagree. I just said about Iowa, I like home points, and I do. But I think, though, they will not help Missouri this weekend. I will take A&M minus the 6.5, and that leaves Terry Ford.
If Prabula was playing, I might be totally different. Or if they can get Chase Daniel back. I'm going to take A&M. I just think you're starting a really raw, inexperienced quarterback who, by the way, has barely thrown the ball over 10 yards in the games he's played in. So I'm going to go A&M.
And again, I think if you're a Carolina fan, you want A&M to win by like 50, just so they're not at all concerned about themselves next week. All right, to the NFL we go. Elijah, I'll start with you. Tampa Bay. This is a good game, I think. At least on paper it should be. Tampa Bay hosting New England. Bucks minus 2.5.
I think the Bucks win a close one, but by 3. So give me the Bucks to cover 2.5.
Tampa Bay to cover the spread. Terry Ford.
Yeah, let's go with Tampa Bay on a very close cover. Take Tampa Bay.
I'm back and forth on this one today, and I like y'all's logic, but you know what? Something tells me that everybody's ready to hate New England again, and one of the reasons why is because they're going to win this football game. Give me New England plus the points
Vrabel voodoo
on the road. Paulie.
You know what's interesting? When you get a good coach, you can become a better team. Isn't it scary? Weird?
Yeah. It is. It is. Paulie, what do you think, man? Bucks minus 2.5 at home over the Pats.
I might have to take the Bucks.
Taking the Bucks at home.
Very
and that
wise
leaves
choice
Colin.
by Paulie.
I will take the Patriots. Need them to beat the Bucks to make the NFC South a little bit closer, get the Panthers that much closer to making the playoffs.
Yeah, Panthers have the Saints. I don't know if Elijah Campbell's going to see his fighting New Orleans Saints play or not, but
I will be in the stands watching this terrible 1-18 play football.
Yeah, Rams 4.5-point favorites at the Niners. Big rivalry game, but right now it's the Rams on the road that are the favorites. Terry, I'll start with you.
Give me Niners. I know that the Rams have had their number in the at times in this back and forth, but I just got a feeling the Niners will find a way to win.
I like that. I like that too. At least I like those 4.5. Again, I'm going back to it. I like those. Yeah. I like those home points. If you're giving me home points most of the time, so I'll take San Francisco plus the 4.5. Elijah Campbell.
I too. That was my early game underdog challenge pick, so I think they'll win. So I'll definitely take them with the points in this contest.
By the way, guess who's rehabilitating themselves to be a starting quarterback? Mac Jones.
Mr. Irrelevant. Oh yeah. Listen, I love that guy, man. I love that guy.
The Mac attack.
All right. Colin, what do you think, man? Rams minus 4.5 at the Niners.
I'm going to take the Niners with the points.
Niners and the points, and that leaves Paulie.
Give me San Fran.
All right, so that's a clean sweep on that.
You know what that
one.
means?
All
The
right.
Rams win by 20.
Rams win by 20.
I know, right? As long as it doesn't hurt anybody. All right, wild card time now. Paulie, I will start with you. Your game is Vanderbilt at home. 6.5-point favorites over Auburn.
Hey, give me Vandy.
Vandy to cover at home. I like that one as well. Colin, your game. Georgia, 9.5-point favorites at Mississippi State.
Give me the Bulldogs.
Which ones?
Georgia.
Smart.
Georgia.
Eddie play.
I like that.
That's a pro's pro right there.
Can I be honest with you?
I was gonna.
We should just let him have the Bulldogs because that was.
We should just write down Bulldogs.
That was so good.
That was good. Well played,
wrong.
Colin.
He's not wrong.
He's not. I had to ask. Terry Ford, Alabama, 9.5-point favorites at home over LSU.
You know what? I'm taking LSU with the points, but Bama wins the game. I think LSU. I think they're so happy Brian Kelly's gone. They're going to play free. Yeah. They're going to play with nothing to lose.
The post a-hole coach firing bump.
That's
a lot of points too, man.
And I'm going to say it's sort of like when you're in a miserable relationship and then you break up and how good you feel.
Sure.
Because most women feel that way after they break up with me. So I think they're going to feel so good, and they'll cover.
All right. I get Indiana, 14.5-point favorites at Penn State. Here again, home points, but man, Indiana beats the you-know-what out of people. But maybe they don't this time. I'm gonna go against I'm gonna take Penn State plus the points. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. I think they got to show something. So give me Penn State plus the points, despite the fact that Indiana typically has been kicking the crap out of people. And that gives us Elijah Campbell, who's got the Virginia Cavaliers, 6.5-point home favorites over Wake Forest.
That's awful.
Oh, that's tough.
That's a bad one.
Wake just completely no-showed in Tallahassee last week.
But Virginia's average margin of victory is only like 5 points in the last 5 games.
Virginia's been getting away with it. You know what? I think they get away with it again. They win a 3-point game. So give me the Deeks to cover.
Wake plus the points. All right. Do we, Terry? Do I need to hit a break?
Yeah, hit a break and come back.
All right, Paulie, Colin, sit tight. We'll get our tiebreaker on the other side, guys.
All right, finish up our wild card showdown. Got to get to our all-important final stage here that's been, what do you say, Jay, has been like a deciding factor.
It has. And we've played 10 weeks, and I think the tiebreaker has been involved in at least half of them, and it's not usually the case, but it has been this season, including last week. So it's made a difference. All right, we still got Paulie and Colin here, guys. Tiebreaker stat for the week: total offense for Marcel Reed at Missouri. A&M quarterback has been lighting it up through the air. He can run around as well. So we want total offense for Marcel Reed at Missouri. I'll let that sink in. Everybody have a number, and we're going to start with Colin. Colin, what do you think?
Total rushing and passing, 322.
3-2-2. Not gonna lie, man, I was right near where you are, so I'll have to change mine just a little so as not to be a Terry Ford. I mean, as not to be a bad player. I'll let Terry go next, actually, just because of that.
I would never do that, and I can't believe you would disrespect me like that on the radio. I'm going 323.
The numbers on my chart. The numbers on my chart may say otherwise.
I'm going 323.
Are you serious?
No, I'm playing.
All right.
I'm playing.
Okay. No.
321.
No, what do you? Okay. 3, 2, 1. All right. We'll let Paulie go next.
307.
307. Elijah and I are now tied. Usually I give the nod to Elijah to go last, and I'm still going to do that because until I actually surpass him, I feel like he is. It's like goal differential, Elijah. You know, I'm going to still call you as being on top here. I was going to do 323, to be honest with you. That was the number in my head, Colin and Terry. But I'm actually going to now bump that up. I'm going to go at even threes across the board. So this is going to be tight here, but I'm doing 3, 3, 3, and that does leave Elijah Campbell.
Ooh, okay. I will go. I think he shows out this weekend. Let's go 340.
All right.
3, 4, 0. I love it. So we are 33 yards separate the entire group of us when it comes to what's happening this weekend. So I love it. Paulie, Colin, appreciate you boys listening. Appreciate you playing along. Again, beat the other guy, beat two of us, and we'll hook you up with a 107.5 The Game craft beer card, good at locations all across the Midlands. So appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend, all right?
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Y'all too. Have a good weekend. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, there you go. That's Paulie. That's Colin. We're all in here. Clean sweep on San Francisco. Let's see. Only one Mizzou. That was Paulie. Everybody else has A&M. Both listeners have Oregon. We all have Iowa. That feels. That's the one. Is that the? I don't know if that's the game of the week, guys, but that feels like that's the one that might have the most intrigue. Is Oregon's opportunity here to remain in the top 10?
Here's the one thing, guys, and look, we've all watched games on TV featuring Iowa. I've driven through the state of Iowa. Nice people, nice scenery, kind of drab. We get it. We see it on TV. But it's not like Oregon is tropical and 90 degrees in the winter. We're acting like the Oregon guys live on an island somewhere in the Bahamas and they're going to go to Iowa. No, they have played in blah weather at Autzen. This weather thing to me is silly.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. It's going to be interesting to see how Oregon handles the Iowa tempo and their style of play. Because, again, they want to bore you to death. And if Iowa gets sucked into that, they could lose. Very simple. If they start fast, I think starting fast is the key to the game. If Iowa can start fast, if Oregon starts fast and puts Iowa behind the 8 ball and they got to start playing catch-up, and God forbid they do this thing called the forward pass, Iowa's in trouble. But if this game is close going the fourth quarter, like one score, anything can happen.
Weird stuff happens in that stadium, man. A lot of weird stuff. And again, the only defense this year that has slowed down Indiana was Iowa. Phil Parker, maybe one of the best defensive coordinators of our lifetime.
They've wasted so much good stuff on defense and special teams, haven't they?
Oh, over the course of the last 10 years.
It's just sad.
Longer.
And all they've needed was an average offense, and they're winning 10 games probably 2 or 3 times.
Guys, how many college football playoff appearances could they have conceivably made if they would have had, like Jay said, average offense?
Oh, they would
because their defense,
3, maybe.
Yeah, they're the championship level defense. No question. Championship.
And that special teams for about 2 or 3 years was among the best, if not the best, in America.
Cooper DeJean was returning punts.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Great stuff today. Thanks as always to our good friend Langston Moore. Elijah, nice to see you at least on the YouTube stream, and nice haircut. I'll see everybody in person again on Monday. I'm very glad to get back in the studio. Terry, great work as always, sir. Appreciate you, and to all of you who offer support, means a lot. Everybody have a great weekend. Maybe I'll get my YouTube TV Disney thing going again. If not,
probably not.
Send me some recs on what I need to sign up for.
I know a guy. It's only a little illegal.
See y'all Monday.
Final check on the roads on a Friday afternoon. Few accidents. I-77 northbound at Fort Jackson Boulevard, exit 10. Shop Road at Atlas Road. Also Sunset Boulevard at Sunset Boulevard. TPC Boulevard at Greenway Boulevard. Two Notch Road at Raybon Road. I-26 westbound at Sunset Boulevard, exit 110 as well. Coming up 6:30, bottom of the hour.
The Gamecock women hosting Bowling Green, and after that, our high school football scoreboard show with Elijah and Justin. Sunday, South Carolina men's hoops hosting Southern Miss, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip, and obviously no Gamecock football. The bye week is here. Texas A&M a week from Saturday. We start our coverage at 7 a.m. with Gamecocks Game Day. Have a good weekend. We'll see you.